eGPU. You filming?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's like Christmas.
This is like Christmas.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Merry Thanksgiving indeed. Look at this absolute beast. Oh no. Oh, it's huge. Lenovo Legion branded there. Look at that.
Where?
Lenovo Legion.
Oh yeah.
Gotta be on brand.
That's an eGPU.
Yeah. So it contains a power supply. Shall I open it up? This little handle opens it.
Oh,
Oh, it doesn't
for
scratch
me.
it. But the power supply, and your graphics card goes there, and then there's a bay for a hard drive in the back as well.
Oh wow.
Look, it's got PCI pins, like 8 pin and 6 pin for different graphics cards. That's the power supply. And your hard drive goes there.
Wow.
Epic! Right, I'll lift it up. Look, I think he came with... Hello there, I'm TechDave, and today we're looking at this delicious, gorgeous beast that I've recently procured. It is the Thinkpad P51, the Lenovo Thinkpad P51. We'll run through all the specs, performance. We're going to discuss some of the features, some of the upgrades I've done, some of the upgrades I'm going to do. We're going to run some benchmarks, we're going to do some synthetics, we're going to do some streaming. And I've also got, oh, just at the back, hidden behind there, an extra thing to go with it. In classic TechDave styling, a Lenovo Lenovo Legion Booststation eGPU with my RX 480. So, let us dive in. So, here is the device. So what we got to show you? We've got, so let's start with the faults. So there's a German keyboard, which isn't really a fault, but I'm going to have to replace that at some point. The track point buttons do not work at all. The track point does, but the buttons don't. But I'm going to replace the keyboard with English keyboard, UK keyboard anyway, so that doesn't matter. It is nicely backlit with 2 degrees of brightness though. I don't know if you can see that. This trackpad is absolutely beautiful, and it's got like up to 4-finger gestures, which is nice. You can sort of change the volume up and down with 4 fingers, like you can see that in the top left. Lush, love that. It's got a really fast acting fingerprint reader. It's got the X-rite pantone color calibrator to go with the 1080p touchscreen with 10-point multi-touch. All right, just check this out. So you can, all the little lines there, I don't know whether you can see them, but you can move up with up to 10 finger manipulation on the screen simultaneously. So 10-point multi-touch, which is real nice. Pinches, all sorts of things. CPU is an i7-7820HQ at 2.9 turbos up to 3.9 gigahertz, quad-core 8 threads. It's got a built-in with dedicated GPU fan, which I always like to see. 4 gig Quadro M2200 and Intel HD 6300. The reason I mentioned the Intel HD 6300 is you can switch it so it just has the dedicated graphics in BIOS, but what I've done is had hybrid so that I can go to device manager, deactivate the Quadro, and then get way more battery life when I'm just browsing or just doing things like that, because I still use GeForce Now on this because of the other feature that I've got with it, which is Sierra Wireless 7455 4G card. I can also connect my phone tethered to it with 5G, so up to 300 megabits per second there. It's got a 1 terabyte NVMe Gen4 SSD, which seems to be functioning at full speed, which is nice. It will have, as of when my postman comes and knocks on that window there, 32 gigs of 2666 megahertz DDR4 RAM. But at the moment it's only got 1 stick of that, so it's only 16 gigs at the moment. 135 watt PSU, and just something else which we'll probably look at in a bit more detail, but I've coupled it with my trusty RX 480 and the Lenovo Legion Booststation, that's got a 2 terabyte 7200 RPM drive and my RX 488 gigabyte in there. And basically, other than the power, I haven't tried powering it from here because it only draws 100 watts over that. with the Booststation, so I just have the power cable. But it's basically just those two cables are all you need, and then it connects like your 4 peripherals there. I'm also going to buy the docking station at some point, so the actual workstation dock for this, so I've got like way more USB ports because it's only got 4 USB ports. And while we're there, let's talk about the ports. Actually, we've covered everything, all the other specs, might as well cover the ports as well. So we've got express card, meaning we can use the Quadro eGPU down there. It's got a high-speed SDXC card reader. Not much exciting on the front. There's a spot for a smart card reader here, but I don't think it comes with it, so I haven't seen anything in the BIOS or anything to suggest that's there. We've got a combo headphone and mic jack. We've got 2 USB 3 mini display port. On the back, we've got always on USB 3, another USB 3, Ethernet, HDMI, power, and then the Thunderbolt 3 port there. It's a lovely fan. It's a nice square connector. And then we've already done this side, haven't we? So yeah, that's the ports, the specs, and some upgrades. So yeah, let me just think about what I'm doing, and then we'll be back in un momento. Right, one more thing. I'll see if I can do this wobble cam style. So plug in your power. I don't think that you can power the thing off the eGPU dock. You can do that with some other computers, but this is 135 watt power brick required. So as you can see there, this screen, and that screen are connected. And then we go up to the Legion. There's a little button on the front there. Boop. Look at that lovely little LED flashing on. Ding, ding, ding. And then just come on. There we go. Look, and then we've got the eGPU connected. Now this like, in terms of what it says, this may not work properly, but that's not really relevant because it does work properly. So it's just powering up. As you can see, look, it's brought in my music drive video, so that's what I've got there. The AMD Connect technology. It says this, but then it turns out that it works absolutely fine. It's just concerned because the eGPU needs to be connected first, but it is, so it's absolutely fine. I've got this error happened since I plugged in the external graphics card. I'm going to correct that later on. Plugged in the Quadro as well, because basically I managed to get this running with 4 graphics cards simultaneously, because it's got Intel HD 630 4000, because I'm so used to the 30 series laptops. The Quadro built in, the eGPU that I just connected, and then I've also got my Quadro K5200, which is an 8 gig workstation graphics card in there that I can connect via express card. I'm not going to do that now, but that's what triggered that error, so I'm sure that's fixable. But yeah, that was just a brief little overview of connecting the eGPU as well. And then we're going to dive now into some games and gaming benchmarks. I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to do Apex Legends, Shadow of Tomb Raider, Warhammer Vermintide, Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, it runs that. We're going to try DCS World Steam Edition. And then we're going to try, then Daisy, I know it will play, but I just want to show you some footage of that because I want to show you it working on the internal Quadro and then how much of an improvement it is on the eGPU. So let's dive in to that. Just as luck would have it, I can have stuff just arrived. So how can I do this? Oh yeah, I have a tripod, I remember. So I believe this is the RAM stick. I'm guessing this is the RAM. Make sure I keep my address out of the shot. Very exciting unpacking new stuff. What is this? Must be RAM. Must be the RAM. I'll speed this up if it's tedious. Yep, there's my RAM module. Sky Hynix, they said it was Samsung. The photo was Samsung. Hopefully it's alright because it's the same specs. We'll see how we get on. And this one is probably my Thunderbolt cable. So I ordered an extra Thunderbolt cable. So I didn't know if the Booststation would come with one, but it did. and it's pretty much the same size, so that's irrelevant. And then this is what I can only assume is the workstation dock. Yep, feels like it. Which I'm very excited about, because now I can plug in all my USBs as well. Oh, make sure that's not in shot. We've got the keys, we've got the dock, we've got the RAM, we've got the Thunderbolt cable. Right, I'll unpack all this, set it up, install it, and then you can see what happens next. Right, so we now have 32 gigs running of RAM running at 2400, which is what it's projected to run at, but the sticks go up to 2666, so that works for me. It's fine. 2400 is more than enough at 32 gigs. We've also got the workstation dock now as well, which was just delivered serendipitously, meaning I've got up to 6 more USB ports, and also see I've got an Ethernet cable there. That's the Thunderbolt. This is the Thunderbolt dock. There's my Ethernet, the power running through to the laptop from the dock, all the USB ports. This one here is always on even when the laptop's not docked, so you can charge your phone. But I also added an Ethernet cable back up here so that I can potentially try some NIC teaming. I don't know if that'll work, but I thought maybe I could have faster internet, basically. That should be cool, because when I move house to the new studio, oh my god, we'll tell you about my new house later on, but yeah, that's something I'm super stoked about. We're going to have gigabit Ethernet, internet even. So right, anyway, the point of this was to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to run the games on the top monitor up there, this TV. That's just that, because this top monitor and this side monitor are both attached to the eGPU, and then I've got NVENC as the encoder, so I'm running OBS on the internal monitor, meaning that the full resources, as much as is available of the graphics card externally, will go to the game, and then the built-in 4GB Quadro will handle the encoding for recording and streaming. So we're going to test some of that. As you can see, I've got a little setup, I've got my mic there, all the lovely things. So right, I will be back on the machine demonstrating some games. So that was a little addendum, I apologise. Right, so here we are in Apex Legends. Now what I've done, this game runs at 70 frames per second on the extreme VRAM thing, but I turned it down a little bit just because I'm recording, and you can see the frame rate. If I look at the ground, you can see the frame rate in the top left, so 60 FPS, and it's showing the performance metrics up there on the right from in-game, from Apex itself. Slide down this hill, shoot some shit. But I just did another recording of this using the GPU. God, I suck. Down you go. Using the GPU that I'm running the game on, and we were getting 70-ish frames per second.
I'm out of light ammo.
And above in the game, but the recording was all glitchy, so something went wrong with the recording. So just to show you how it runs, this is whilst recording, so streaming assumedly the same performance or similar performance would be. Where's the ammo for this thing? This can be expected. You can expect similar performance if you were streaming the game or recording. So yeah, you can see we're averaging 40 frames per second now, but I don't know. On average, you're getting 40 to 50 frames per second with less graphics, but I'm also using the internal built-in Quadro to actually. I'm using NVENC in OBS to record. So you imagine. So what am I driving at? The basic gist is that if you were playing this game just on its own or just streaming this game, you could get significantly more performance than this, and I'm personally quite impressed. So it looks lovely. Like, I don't know how good the recording you're seeing looks, but just on my screen, which is above over there, it looks amazing. And even while recording on the secondary graphics card, we're getting quite good performance. So I'm going to review the footage, and then if it's alright, we'll move on to the next game, which will be Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Alright, this is cool. So I don't know how good it looks for you guys, but it looks absolutely stunning. I started a new game, so I had to wait through a few FMVs. This is so cool. It looks gorgeous. You won't be able to hear it over me speaking and stuff, but the GPU fans have ramped right on up as well. The CPU's not ramped up too much, but the GPU definitely has. But yeah, like, geez, such a good looking game. What you're seeing probably won't do it justice. And I may pause it and then come back once we're in some actual game footage, we'll see. This is like quick time sequence at the moment. Yeah, I'll pause it, I'll be back. Right, so we're in game. Let me just show you the settings as well. I don't know whether I include the earlier bits. So display and graphics, so we got 1080p, DirectX 12, full screen on the main graphics card, AMD Fidelity CAS. Ooh. Play changes, let's just change that. Right, so we've got AMD Fidelity on as well, VSync off. There's no way of showing the performance metrics in game at the moment, but I'm just going to show you how it runs on an aesthetic level.
Jonah, I'm out. Be careful, the way into the site is full of traps.
Looks absolutely stunning for me. I don't know what it looks like for you.
Something.
6 weeks, and still no solid leads on who's leading the local Trinity cell.
This is one good looking game.
They're excited. There's a VIP coming.
Appears to be smashing it. Even.
We should look into it.
Oh, that was close, and nearly didn't press E. W. Jump. Jump. Holy cow. I won't play much more of this, but it's one gorgeous game. Probably don't pause while she's... But yeah, so I don't know how good the experience you're seeing is, but what I'm seeing looks absolutely stunning. Once we're up here, I will end that. And this is whilst capturing the game as well, do you know what I mean? Right, save game. So yeah, just for reference, like, it looks gorgeous where I'm seeing it. I can't tell you what performance metrics there are. What I can say is that I did the benchmark suite before I played this, and it averaged 50 frames per second across the whole suite. So, in theory, probably looks it's entirely playable. So, next we have Warhammer Vermintide 2, which, if memory serves, wildly varies in frame rate even when you're not recording, depending what area you're in. I've got VSync off. Let's show you the settings. So I've got 1080p medium, VSync off, cap frame rate off. And it was only on medium really to keep it a sweet spot for recording, because if you're happy with 30 to 50 frames per second, or even 60 frames per second, you can probably push it up to high, but this is just for recording purposes. I've re-optimized the OBS recording, so in theory it should look better here than it did with Shadow in the Tomb Raider, but we'll soon find out. And this is, you can see the performance metrics at the top left. If I just line that up somewhere visible, the frames per second is in the top left. But yeah, it seems pretty good. It looks more choppy in OBS than it does in on my TV, obviously. But yeah, so what we're doing to capture this, I don't know if I may explain this in the Shadow of the Tomb Raider bit. Basically, the game is running on my external graphics card, the RX 488GB, and the encoding for this recording is being done on via NVINC, which is in the built-in Quadro 4GB graphics card. So it takes resources back that would be used otherwise, for the game onto the internal graphics card, so it's actually pretty sweet situation. So yeah, I think Warhammer's Vermintide 2 is a win anyway, because it's in excess of 30 frames per second, very playable whilst recording, and it goes much higher when not recording, so there we go. So right, I'm not sure how my computer's going to handle this, but we've got video settings, graphic settings, right, so it's basically medium, customized it, medium settings, low medium settings in Cyberpunk, with fidelity, maybe turn that off actually, that would improve it, but I've got uncapped frame rate, and as you can see, I can't, it's not overly beautiful. You're probably seeing a lot worse than I'm seeing again, but I'm running Cyberpunk at medium settings whilst recording. It's a little choppy. Let's see what happens if I put it up to, because these settings, graphic settings that I chose, let's just destroy my computer, why not? These settings that I chose, obviously I can't have ray tracing on because I don't have a RTX card. Now it's a little choppy. It's a little choppy now on high settings. Let's see. So obviously the sweet spot whilst recording must be medium. Yeah, medium looks sweet. I couldn't get Fraps to run over this, and I didn't see any in-game metrics, but it's running the game whilst recording, so in theory you could stream Cyberpunk in this kind of resolution, this video quality. Obviously what you're seeing is worse than what I'm seeing, but I take this as a win. The very fact it's running Cyberpunk 2077, it's only a year old, on a old graphics card, shows that this machine is just a beast. So right, next will be DCS World. I might skip that, so we're going to try some DayZ next, so I'll be back, because DCS World takes ages to load and it doesn't look that good. Well, it runs it, but yeah, we'll be back with some DayZ. Ooh, and before I go, with DayZ, we're going to try that on the Quadro alone, and then on the eGPU setup, so we'll see how we get on with that. Be right back. And we're here in DayZ, and as you can see we're averaging above 60 frames per second whilst recording. The reason I'm doing this last is because I know it runs on the internal graphics card as well as the external graphics card, so I can stream on both. I don't know what order you're seeing this footage in, but as you can see we're well into the 70s whilst recording. Let's just show you my settings. So video, so it's all on low and medium. If we put her up to medium and then apply, you'll see the frame rate tank quite a bit, but it looks a lot better. And yeah, this is entirely playable whilst recording. I've streamed this as well using this setup with the Express card eGPU, and it handled that fine, so I expect that this is very viable as a way to, as a device setup to stream and record. Let's see what's in here. Ooh, up a wooden wall. Right, well, someone's built a wall there. Maybe there's people around. Maybe I'm gonna get fucked up. But yeah, pardon my French for swearing, I do apologise. But yeah, DayZ running well into the 70s on medium settings. Let's try high settings. Let's try extreme. Let's see what happens when we go on extreme. Apply. I'm expecting the frame rate to tank below 30 frames per second, but it appears to be just on 30 frames per second. That looks lovely. It's a little bit not quite stuttery, but this is whilst recording, so I'm pleased. I'm very pleased. Let's get in here. Hide in a little box, and I can save my character, because it times you out. So yeah, solid 30 frames per second on the extreme settings whilst recording. So you'll either see in a minute the footage, or I've already seen the footage of it running just on the integrated graphics. I managed to stream this game just on the, sorry, not integrated graphics, but on the built-in Quadro graphics card, I managed to stream this game on like low settings. So this isn't a surprising thing, but it's not that well optimized a game. So I just wanted to show that right at the end of the benchmarks, just to show that even on extreme settings in a relatively unoptimized game, we're getting extremely playable performance. So briefly, just to show you for the synthetics, we're getting 1853 in Cinebench R20. It smashed through it in barely any time at all, so I was quite pleased with that. And then next we're going to look at Passmark, the full results, and that's all we're going to do because I can't be bothered to download Firestrike. Sorry, but there we go. So our second synthetic is Passmark, and we got a Passmark rating of 5065.5, which is better than my server, and we want Thinkpad P51 with RX for 88GB, anonymous upload, add notes, tested by TechDave, save, upload. And it should let us view comparisons now. Okay, there we go. I'll drag that over to this screen so you guys can see. So, yeah, I agree to your bullshit. Oh, I keep swearing, sorry. Right, CPU mark on the grand scale of things wasn't that good, but still really good. 2D graphics 3, 3D graphics about 3, so pretty damn good, all things considered. With obviously the best score being the disk, which is nearly max power, because it's PCI Gen4 1TB SSD, and Windows 10 Professional. That's not actually the build I'm on 21H2, but yeah, there's a thing which is cool. So 63% of the world's computer, but it's high up here, so I mean, for me, that's amazing. That's like almost as good as my server did. In fact, if not a little bit better. So I'm very pleased with that Passmark result. So what is next? What's next? Let me check my notes. The next thing we're going to look at, so that's the synthetics done. So what we're going to look at is this battery extension thing. So I'm going to show you some cool stuff to do with the battery and video editing on the go and streaming on the go as well. So they're the next two sections. So I will see you in the video editing in the garden and battery extension techniques and tips. Right, so we've done some sneaky little tricks here. So I just filmed this section. Oh yeah, just to show you we're on battery as well. That's the webcam plugged in, nothing else. As you can see in the bottom right, with 10% of the battery used, we've gone over the projected 4-hour limit of this machine, because the battery life quotes less than 4 hours, usually about 3.5 on full charge. And I've managed to extend that with 10% of the battery used to 4 hours and 8 minutes, which hasn't shifted for the past 5 minutes I've been using it, so it looks quite promising. And what we did is we went to power options, and I made a low power, so you create a power plan, and then it'll bring up this screen. So you leave this all fine, and then you go change advanced power settings, then you go down to processor power management, maximum processor state, you put on battery 50%, then click apply, and then these as well. This I was interested in, switchable to graphics, but basically what I did on top of this was to go to device manager. Also, I'm recording on the CPU rather than the GPU now, because I've disabled the Intel Quadro graphics. So we're running on the Intel HD graphics, and we're getting like, there we go. It's changed up again now to 4.5 hours. So there's potential to expand your battery life. If you're just browsing and using the device for something non-labor intensive, we've gone past the 4-hour projected mark at 10%. So we're looking at probably about 5 hours. And then you could also get a second battery, which would last the same duration, especially if it was brand new. And then you'd be in a position where you've got about 10 hours battery life for casual browsing. Sorry to switch back to this, but I just thought I'd show you that working, expanding past that battery icon. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is probably going to be me live streaming directly on the laptop via 5G on my phone, with the capture card coming in at my friend's house. We'll see if that happens. It might not be in the video, I don't know yet, but that's my intention, is to do some capture carding of get some games. So either that's it and you'll see the conclusion, or we'll see how it goes. You might see some gaming footage after this. See you in a sec. Just to really hammer the point home, I was watching back the footage with that ridiculous face there. I was watching back the footage I just recorded and noticed that the battery life has now gone up to 5 hours and 16 minutes with 11% use. So that could be reaching up to the 6-hour mark with this little battery trick. Meaning that I could, under load, probably get 3 hours out of it, which means that I could game anywhere, potentially. But yeah, like under full load without the battery tricks, it's about 2-hour battery life, realistically under load. So I could do some editing in the woods potentially. It granted some laggy editing only on the Intel HD graphics, but it does prove the point quite nicely that you can extend the battery life of this for general use enormously. So like that's got to be nearly double. Got to be nearly double the battery life I was getting out of it just like without doing those changes. So yeah. Right, this is just silly now. We've actually capped out over 6 hours just browsing. So if you've got a ThinkPad P51, do all the things you saw in the previous section, and you can get up to 6 hours and 10 minutes just for browsing. And I'm just watching
CPU
the edit
is an
that you've probably already seen those bits. But yeah, just browsing and on the internet, you've got over 6 hours battery life. That's insane. Awesome. Hello, so I've moved to the garden. If you come in here, what I've done is I've switched over to the standard. If you zoom in here a little bit, this standard setting, so without all the battery tricks, and we're getting 2 hours and 12 minutes. But what I'm doing is very briefly just editing together a video, so it looks like, other than the rendering side of things, I mean, I knew this anyway, but the Quadro itself is a very capable graphics card when it comes to video editing, even without the external GPU. I just wanted to show you that even out and about, under quite a sufficient load to test it, we're getting 2 hours and 11 minutes. So it's a solid battery. You get about 2 hours life out of it under load. And then in regards to rendering, I suppose if you in that 2 hours, if you get the editing done within the first half an hour, then you've got an hour remaining to do some rendering, which will probably drain a lot more battery. So just something to keep in mind. But I'm actually editing the video that you're now watching, so that's quite handy. The other thing is just to see how washed out the screen looks. So it's been color calibrated, but out here in daylight, the touchscreen really does have quite a glare to it, and it looks quite washed out, whereas indoors it looks quite nice. So yeah, I just wanted to show that as well. So yeah, I guess that's everything done. So I'll move on to some conclusions. So conclusions. What do I think of this laptop? It's absolutely insane, to be honest, how good this laptop is. All I need to add to it now is just this. I'm waiting for a plastic caddy, but for now I'm going to put it in like that. That's my old drive that I got with it. But just to reiterate the specs, quad-core 8-thread CPU, now 32 gigs of 2400 megahertz RAM. We've got the 8 gig graphics card in the Lenovo Legion Booststation graphics dock, which performs just better than my desktop did. My desktop is now owned by my delightful partner. I don't know if you can quite see that, but that computer down there, I gave her everything except the graphics card because I'm a legend. And she paid for the eGPU caddy, so it's not quite gift, but the majority of the components were worth more than that. Blah, 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 blah. She's got an amazing computer. I've got an amazing computer. This is the important thing. It does everything I need it to do, performs better than my desktop. I get more out of the graphics card because the CPU is not bottlenecking it. It's a monster. And, oh yeah, whilst I remember, I was just in the middle of editing on just the Quadro, so you've seen this before. So everything other than this bit of the video that you're watching, I'm now going to just start to render on the Quadro. So render all, and then that'll go on in the background. So yeah, everything up to here I've managed to edit together on just the Quadro, just to show how that performs in general, because yeah, we've got say about 45 minutes for like a half-an-hour video, which is about well, I did some of the rest of the editing. I did the basic edit on the eGPU, and now I'm putting together all the parts that I've edited pre-production sort of thing. And we're looking, it's probably going to be about an hour it's going to take to render the whole video, but at 4K 30 frames per second. So I can't reiterate enough how impressed I am with this device. I'm going to be paying it off for months, so I'm not going to talk about pricing at the moment, but if you want to know any more, you hit me up on Twitter at Davith46 or TechDave YouTube. But yeah, it's an absolute monster, and I think it's probably a completely sufficient desktop replacement, if I'm honest, which I haven't been able to say about any other eGPU setup I've had before. I would genuinely recommend this. As you can see, I've got my T430 there, which is now my music production setup as well. So TechDave Studios is entirely a ThinkPad based and nothing else kind of setup now, because, and I've got my X230 that I got the other day as well, yet another one. But yeah, what else can I say? Please remember to like, subscribe, share this if you think of anyone that might want to watch it, or just in general if you think it was a cool video. And then what's the other thing? Oh, hit the bell icon as well. Don't forget the bell icon, because I don't post that often, as you may know if you're aware of me. And then the final thing to say, yeah, so we've just got an hour, we're at 2%, we've got an hour of a 40-minute video rendering, so I'm just on the bare bones device without the eGPU, so that's cool. But yeah, what was I going to say? I am moving house, so I'm going to have like a proper full-time studio, and then this desk behind. Sorry, I got cut off there. Ran out of space on my SD card, so I moved to internal storage. What was I saying? The desk down there, I've got another desk that is going to be my presentation desk. So I'm going to have a full-time TechDave studio. I'm going to try and take this a little bit more seriously. So expect a build log, demonstration of the studio, and lots of just exciting things to come, because if I turn around here, now, we're packing down the house, so you'll have to excuse the state of my room. It's always been a bit bad, but particularly bad at the moment. This desk and the ThinkPad and the mixer as well over there, like it all wires into this ThinkPad as well. So I'm going to be doing some live streams. I'm going to be able to do like band live streams and stuff as well, so there might be music on my other channels. But the main thing is I'm going to have a permanent TechDave studio basically set up. I'm going to get some softboxes. I've got my DSLR now as well, which, whilst I like recording in 4K, I think it's better to have a better quality, like color corrected, all that sort of stuff. Like I'm going to try and dig in with the production quality of the videos a little bit more. And probably lots of X230 content as well, because I've got a Japanese keyboard and an X230 and loads of little just things I wanted to make. So thank you for watching. I've been TechDave. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share, etc, etc, etc. Thanks for watching. Peace.